When's the last time you woke up and said, I can do whatever I want today? So instead of going to work today, I woke up at 3 a.m., flew to Santa Barbara, and I am just about on my way to spend a long, relaxing weekend with the girls. Just the people I need to see, the things we need to do, just a weekend of pure enjoyment. And I'm here on the first one, but check out this place. How beautiful is this? I feel so grateful and so blessed. So that question that I asked earlier, what would it be like if you could wake up and do whatever you wanted? No limits, none. For me, that is like, it doesn't get any better. There is no greater wealth than that. And it's about freedom. And I was reading a book today called The Psychology of Money by Mauser. I'll link it. I'll link the description below. And I thought, oh, how lovely and rich is this? There's another story that the book started off with. Look at me, by the way. 2 books, 2 episodes. What the heck? Anyhow, so the story where the book kicked off started with Joseph Heller and Kurt Vonnegut were invited to some fancy New York hedge fund manager party. And one said to the other, this guy made more in a day. I think it was Joseph Heller said this. This guy made more in a day than I made throughout, like, he was the author of Catch-22. He's like, than Catch-22 ever made me throughout this whole thing. And then, and I think Kurt Vonnegut said something back to him, and Joseph Heller said, but I have something that he will never have. Enough. And let's kick off talking about money, shall we? Enough. Okay. I am so excited I get to do this exercise for you. So, have you ever heard the term big rocks? We have it in the corporate world all the time. Big rocks, big rocks, big rocks. And it sort of talks about strategy. But this is also about life and everything. So imagine this cup signifies full or plenty or enough or satisfied. Okay? And so you start with some rocks. So here's one. And this could maybe be your self and your health and your physical health and your mental health. Because without health, you don't really have anything else. Like, you don't have a life. You don't have a body. So there you go. Health. Then you have family. And maybe it's found family or it's community. But it's your network, your sense of connection. And without community or a sense of belonging, there is no safety net. So making sure that one of your big rocks is those around you that you love and that love you and you care for each other. And then the third one is money. So career, the things that make you money, but like also money as a tool. It's like money isn't a value. Money is a thing. It's not how you approach it. It's not how you, it is how you use it, but it's also how you use it to embody life. There we go. So would you agree, if you're sort of looking at this, could I fit another one of these in? No, because it would be poking out the top, and like full is full. So that's right here. But it's not actually full, because look, I can still get all these other rocks in, and I can sort of stuff it to the gills. And if I don't know, shake, 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 maneuver it. And now, if you take a look again at what this looks like, does that look full? It looks full to me. But guys, I was just kidding. It's still not full. Check this out. I can still get more in there. So this is life, right? It's how you think about things, and it's how you fill up your life. How cool was that? There's something I didn't explain very well last time, which is I got the big rocks. So the big rocks were a recommendation of the first 3 things that you fill your life up with. The smaller rocks are smaller things. They still help make you you. Like, it might be, how do you contribute to your style? How do you spend your free time? How are you, like, if you had a choice between going to Thailand or going to France or going skiing or going camping or doing something outside of the 3 things. But the idea, maybe, is to ensure that the stack up of the smaller rocks don't take up the space that the big rocks take up. Like, they can, but it's a choice. And then lastly, when it comes to sort of the water, this might be like the even smaller things. Do I give myself that piece of chocolate, or do I buy myself that cheap ass t-shirt because I really want the dopamine hit? Whatever that is, like, this might be that sort of like combination of mindless spending or small decisions or things that at the end of the day, one-on-one aren't very important, but they do stack up quickly. So let's just explore for a second. Like, what happens if you change the order of how you fill your cup? Like, at the end of the day, there is this much room and these many resources for what you can use to get whatever you want out of life. So let's start with the small ass decisions. So like me, this would be, I'm spending my money on DoorDash. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm getting pizza. I'm going to the movies. I'm buying CDs. I'm, just spending. I go to the grocery store. I don't have a list. I just fill up my cart. Small decisions. A stack up of lots and lots of small decisions. Now when it comes time to, hey, I want to fill up my wardrobe. I want to get a haircut. I want to whatever. And I sort of think about, okay, well, here's like all the other stuff that I want. The glass is full, but I still want to do it. So what's going to happen? Well, boom. It's going to be a mess. You're just going to like vomit money all over the place and like really sort of lose control. But let's keep going. Let's like fill up that cup. So there you go. So now you filled up your cup with a combination of mindless spending along with some things that you sort of saved up for, and you're like, but I really wanted to see that band. I really wanted to see that movie. I really needed that pair of jeans. But what about like, I got cancer and I had to spend for treatment. No stinking room. What about, have I invested in my family? Have I gone to see them? Whatever time and money is sort of there, am I contributing to my safety network? Am I contributing to my found family? And this might not be money related, but you can see, like, if I've filled up my lifetime and resources with the small stuff, there ain't no room. Never mind, what if I wanted to buy a house? Well, there's definitely no room for that. So you can sort of see in terms of priority, the way you think about what comes first. Start with your big rocks. Then fill it in with the things that make your identity rich and diverse. And then have some fun, but in that order. So with that, how do you know, like, once you get the order, what's next? How do you know how much fills up your life? That experiment, by the way, super not new. You can go into YouTube and find, I don't know how many videos talking about big rocks. I'll link a few below, but I just loved it so much. When I heard it the first time, it was like, what the heck? But yeah, just having some amount of clarity in terms of, well, where do I put my efforts first? So there's the where, but then there's also the sort of how much. And one of the things that I found, not just with my weight, but also with money, is that having some way of getting some visibility of how am I using my resources available to me? And am I using them too much? Am I not using them enough? And so what I'm doing now to sort of figure out, like, of those big rocks, how much should I be spending on those things? And also, like, that amount, nobody gets to tell you what that is. Like, it's up to you. It's up to you and your family, to determine what feels right and how you make choices of how much do I spend here, how much do I spend there. So I started, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, I started using an app called Rocket Money. It is by far not the only app that you can use, but after trying, oh my goodness, I have probably 20 different spreadsheets where I have time and time again gotten a new start and said, I'm going to write down everything I spend, and I've got all the categories, and I go through that monthly spend as if it's the same every single month. And it sort of comes from my head, and it comes from what I think it all should be, and I use some amount of logic. But between the things that don't happen the same every month, and then those annual fees, and then the outliers, it just wasn't making any sense. And what I was not doing is I wasn't sort of coming back and checking in month on month on month across what I actually spend. So I decided to do a little research and found an app that at least imported all of my spend all the time. And this particular app has a bunch of categories. It's really helpful. But I also started doing some research of, like, I don't want to have like all these individual categories. I want to think about buckets, and I want to think about different me that I have to think about. So one is the me that has to sort of take care of like all my basics, like all the sort of non-negotiable, this is stuff I need to live my life today, because it's like the cutoff point between what I have today, between enough and not enough. So capturing that. So that's one bucket. I call it live on. I have another bucket where I'm paying my future self, which is like my long-term retirement self. And this is, now 10 plus years out. So that's sort of my future investment that I do not want to touch. Then I have another bucket that is the future spend, but liquid, and it might be an emergency fund, but it also might be a travel fund. So knowing that I have a planned spending coming up, or that I have a nest egg that I can dip into, that's a little bit different. You have to use a little bit of treatment to it. And then the last thing is, what can I do? Like, for me, it's how do you go from having enough to having plenty? And the difference for me is, where is that joy of life? Where is that frivolity? If you feel like you can only take care of the basics, you really do start to feel poor, even if you do have enough. And so I think that there's some reframing of, is enough the baseline, or is enough also include a certain amount of fun to make sure that you're not afraid of spending money, and you're not afraid of enjoying life, and learning how to spend that money and use it as a tool to have, no pun intended, a richer life, is a really important life skill. And just the same way, if you go on a really strict diet and you have, and I know some people live sugar-free, I'm not one of them, but if you have no sugar, no oil, no, like no carbs, no whatever, there's a real danger of, like, every time you tell yourself no, all you want is that thing, and you put yourself in this mental place of starvation. And so part of living a healthy life is to have those moments where you say, I'm going to save up and really savor this moment. I'm going to savor this experience. I'm going to savor this treat, whatever that is. So that's how I've been sort of exploring money now, is I am just now putting my eyes on it. And it's been about 4 months, and I'm just trying to be curious. And one of the things that I noticed was, you know, now that I saw all my grocery bills sort of coming in as is, then I would be like, you know, I don't need the name brand thing. I'm just going to go for the generic, or I'm going to do without. And I think it takes a little while to sort of stabilize between this sort of thoughtless spending, which is I'm going to put everything in my cart and I'm not going to worry about it, to, oh, I'm really going to suck it in and I'm going to show how good I'm being and the rest of it. So in that sort of thought and frame of mind of, the goal isn't to change, but to be curious and to discover what are the things that brings me health, and what are the things that makes me feel like I have enough, and what are the things that I decide to save up for and feel like I'm having a treat and feel like I'm really able to enjoy a moment or my life or have a date or get out on a weekend with girls. That's important too. Especially if you are living, no, not especially anything. Somehow, some way, everybody needs some way of having plenty. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.